All right, we are up about 411 points right now. A lot of it has to do with growing optimism about progress on trade. We're going to get into that now and a host of other issues with the Texas governor, Abbott, here. And very nice to see him in the flesh. I didn't know we were going to have him right here in the flesh, but we do. Greg Abbott, good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Trade and that we might be making progress on that, really helping these markets. What do you think?
Well, it is helping the markets. Great news on trade in a couple of regards. One is it seems like progress is being made with NAFTA. I think it's going to be very important to have a revised, updated NAFTA, but close a deal that will promote trade among Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Understand this, and that is Texas is one of the states that has a trade surplus with Mexico. So this is very important to the Texas economy. But we look internationally. I just got back from a 10-day trip to India, where we had a very robust activity involving trade. We did something the president wants to achieve, and that is we reached an agreement with JSW, the largest steel manufacturer in India, where they're spending $500 million in Baytown, Texas, to create 500 jobs for Texans in Texas, building steel in Texas to be used in the oil and gas fields. And so this is just one of the ways in which Texas is helping to lead the way to expand trade across the entire globe.
All right. Now, in this particular issue with the Chinese, we had the first sign overnight, Governor, that the Chinese premier was open to lowering tariffs on foreign automobiles, namely American automobiles, which is something that this president had been demanding. Do you think the Chinese are going to budge on this? And then how do you check to make sure they are?
Well, this is a sign or a signal that the Chinese do want to budge. Listen, the Chinese, the last thing they need is a trade war themselves. A trade war, you have a bunch of losers, and China would be one of the losers if there is a prolific trade war. So I think this is a good signal by China saying, listen, let's put our arms down a little bit, let's compromise. The auto deal was the easiest one to compromise on because their tariffs were 10 times on automobiles of what the tariffs are.
But, you know, there are many in your party, Governor, who say, you know, the president is absolutely right to be ticked at China. They do cheat, but this is not the way to go about it.
Well, listen, China has been a trade abuser for a long time. The president was right to take action, and because of his action, that is why China is now coming to the table, trying to reach deals. I think this is going to be good for the United States. I think it's going to be smart for China to compromise.
All right. Troops at the border. You've approved more than the president originally requested or that you had committed to. But there are a number of other states, California holding off, Oregon saying no, Montana saying no. Are you surprised?
You know, listen, there are polarized politics in the United States where people are making decisions that are completely unhinged from national security and from the rule of law. Texas is a national security and rule of law state, so of course we're going to step up and do our part to make sure the border is secure. I will tell you this because I've received phone calls already from governors of other states. I got a phone call from the governor of South Carolina. I know that the governor of Arkansas, the governors of other states want to step up and help out by providing National Guard.
But how long are those troops going to be there?
They're going to be there, I perceive, a long time.
Why?
Years, because if you just look at what the president said, he said that this is a gap filler until he gets funding for the wall and greater border security. That might
not come for years.
And that's my point. And so we are prepared for the long run to have National Guard presence there to make sure we're doing everything we can to better secure the border.
Some say he's upping the ante and the problems and maybe potential violence by having these troops there, whether it's a caravan or other caravans of illegals who are making their way.
I'll disagree with that for two reasons. First, the catalyst for this was not the caravan. The catalyst for this was there's been a dramatic rise in the number of cross-border illegal immigration as well as cross-border heroin trafficking that increased more than 200% from this March over the prior March. And so there was a demonstrated need that the president was trying to get ahead of to make sure that he tamped down any dramatic increase in cross-border traffic. But the second thing to show that it will not lead to greater tensions, and that is, if you recall George W. Bush, President George W. Bush put National Guard more than what Trump is doing. Back in 2006, President Barack Obama added National Guard to the border in 2010. That didn't lead to any great tensions. In Texas,
well, in President Bush's case, it was a concern over drug-related violence, right?
This is in part related to drugs because heroin has increased more than 200% coming across the border March over March. But Texas has maintained a National Guard presence on the border for more than 4 years now. And so this is something that hasn't led to any greater tensions. The National Guard will be a force multiplier for the Border Patrol, where they need to do, the Border Patrol needs to have more personnel on the ground, making sure they are interdicting and apprehending anybody coming across the border illegally.